Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden. You see I'm standing in the midsection of the garden, and in my back you can already see what I'm going to work on today. So you see the house obviously, but then you also see what's happening on the lawn. It's covered with loads and loads of leaves. It's kind of like brown golden confetti going on at the moment, and this is not good for lawn. So lawn should always have the ability to breathe, to get sunlight, shouldn't be covered by leaves. So today's video is about collecting the leaves and what I'm actually doing with them. So we've got two big walnut trees in the garden. They're pretty much fully grown, and that means not only do we have like a lot of nice walnuts, we're also dealing with a lot of leaves. So some of you guys asked me on Instagram, what am I doing with all of those leaves? Because walnut leaves have the reputation of breaking down very slowly and poorly, that they can be a little difficult. I don't really have that experience actually. Maybe it has to do with the climate. So what I want to do today basically is just collect all the leaves and show you what I do with them and talk you through a little bit about the advantages of the walnut leaves, or of like what I do in general with leaves. So I hope that you're excited about today's project. Oh look, Alfie's excited. I am in the far back corner of the garden. So in your back, there's actually the new perennial border that I keep on showing you over and over again, where all the autumn beauty is in. And to that side, this is where I'm going to create the new border, which is flanking the back side of the garden. So we really like in the last corner here, and we've got like two kitchen compost heaps here. And then last year I started with something which is just a compost heap only for leaves. I don't put anything else on there. This is simply for leaves and to produce leaf compost. And what I've done is quite simple basically. I just put 4 beams in. Really anchored them well in the ground, but nothing special, just like hammer them in, that's it. Put some chicken wire around it, just use some cable tie basically to fix it, and that's pretty much all I've done. And then what I did to kind of like cover up all the beauty that was going on here, I just put some beans around it, just for this season, maybe for next year as well again, because actually I was harvesting really well of those. So maybe that is also like a nice idea on how to like cover up the compost if you don't want to see it throughout the summer. What I do basically is like last year I collected all of the leaves from the garden. So we have some fruit trees, we have like pear, we got an apple, we've got some lilac, we've got some ornamental trees of course, and then we got the two big walnut trees. So most of our leaves are coming from the two big walnut trees. And all of those leaves, I just try and mix them up a little bit and put them on here. So last year, I would say December probably, when I really finished and all the leaves were on here, it was pretty full. The entire thing was all the way full. And as the year progresses with rain, all the bacteria and worms and everything that works their way in it, it just sunk down a lot. I already put like some fresh leaves on top of it. So all the brown stuff that you see on top of it here is actually from this year. And here you see basically what happened after not even 1 year. This is now probably 10 months. And a lot of it already broke down. It's basically, you see a lot of fibers are still in here, which are kind of like the leaf axis, I guess. But most of it really already composted down, broke down to this lovely kind of crumbly, brown, lofty texture. And that is the beauty of leaf compost. It rained during the night, so it is wet at the moment. It's a little soggy here, but leaf compost in general is known for being quite lofty and light, and most of the time quite sterile, because you don't have any, it's not like that you were weeding and put any weeds or anything in here. You don't put like anything in here like cuttings from the garden, so there's no like seed pods or anything that goes in here. This is only leaves, and the beauty of that is like when it breaks down and you have a lovely crumbly texture, this is almost sterile and you could use it really well, for example, for your sowing. So if you do like any annual sowing or anything like this, leaf compost works quite well for that. If I only do leaf compost, the compost or like the soil that I end up with will be acid. So it's nothing that I would necessarily put on my perennials, but it's perfect if you grow, for example, rhododendrons, azaleas, or also hydrangeas. I grow hydrangeas. So what I do is like I use it and just put it around my hydrangeas, try and work it in a little bit, because it's just really good for them. This is the conditions that they like. So any kind of plants that you're growing, they would benefit from an acid soil. They would really enjoy, especially the leaf compost, what you do in here. This is now here for not even a year, as I said, and this year I'm going to put all the new leaves on top of it as well. Try mix it up a little bit with my garden fork, because I don't want that the new leaves are only sitting on top of it. I'll really try and work it in a little bit, which I've already started. So you see some leaves are already in here, because I really want to mix it all up. And then I'm going to let it sit for at least 1.5 years and probably open another leaf compost. So I always want to have like one pile where I work all of the leaves in for 2 years and let it sit for another 1.5 years. So really end up with a good, lofty, nice compost to work with. As a rule of thumb, you might feel like, when is the compost actually ready? And with leaf compost, there is a quite easy trick that you could use. So first of all, you look at it. When you see that everything just broke down, that you don't see any kind of like fibery leaf axis or anything still in here, if you don't see any leaves and it feels like lofty, crumbly, nice brown, just like nice smelling fresh garden soil, basically, that is a good indicator that you might be like, okay, it could be ready. But what you can do as well is just like get a hand on a seed tray, basically, and put some cress seed on top of it. Water it, put it on your windowsill, because cress are going to germinate fairly quick. So if you have a good germination rate and the leaves stay nice and green and they don't turn yellow, then you know that the leaf compost is definitely ready and you could use it and work it into your soil. So what I'm going to do now basically is and I'm speeded up, I'm just quickly going to show you me collecting all of the leaves that we have already in the garden. It's going to take me probably a good hour to work my way through that. And then I'm just going to use my garden fork, work it all in. And this is what I'm going to do pretty much 2-3 times now, every week until mid-December, I guess. But it is a quite relaxing and almost meditative job to do, because I do it manually. I don't use like a blower or anything, because I just like this entire process of collecting them and just picking them up. And as you might see, there is a wind picking up today, and today is a good day for me to actually do it, even though it's windy. But after we had a rain, the leaves are a little soggy, so if I just collect them all into a pile, the good thing about it is that they won't blow away so easily. Because if I wait for like 2-3 really dry days and then I collect them and then I make the pile, then the wind comes, because we're on top of the dike, there's always a little bit of wind. Then the wind just carries them away and all they go into the borders, basically. So today is just the perfect day to get on with that project. So that was it with my leaf picking, basically. I think you got the point on how it works, and this is something I'm going to continue now over the next weeks up until all the leaves are on the compost heap. And in probably 2 years from now, I'm really going to have lovely fresh leaf compost, and I'm absolutely going to show you how it's going to look like. if you guys don't have like a lot of trees or like so many leaves as we're dealing with here, and you don't want to have like an entire compost heap only dedicated to leaves, there's another technique that I want to show you on how you can compost your leaves as well if you're only dealing with like a smaller amount basically. So all you need for that is just collect your leaves, and then you need to have like a plastic bag of whatever sort. Oh, this is one of the little bags that I collect Alfie's dew with. So you need a plastic bag, and I basically just use kind of like, this was from the mulch, just a used one, because you don't want to, I mean, this is like a good way of recycle it at least, and a pair of scissors. That's all you need. So what you do is, all the leaves that you collected, just put them in there. I just have a small pile now because I'm just doing it now to show you, because obviously these will go in a minute onto the compost heap as well, because this is the only way on how I compost the leaves. But very quickly collect everything. So what you would do normally is like try and make sure that you really fill up your bag, squish it in, because as the leaves start to rot down, it'll all sink down. You really want to have like a lot of it. If you just fill it up and that's very lofty, then you're not really going to have like a lot in the end to deal with. So really try and squeeze it in. And what you do in the end, when you squeeze it in, just tie it around, and then make sure that you come with a pair of scissors and just poke some holes in the bottom. And what you do then is you find some area in the garden where you don't see them, preferably behind a garden shed or next to a garage. One of those areas that's a little neglected and you're not really like using or seeing the entire time. And then you just like put your bag that you tied really firmly, so nothing, like no rain, nothing can come in, on the ground with the holes facing the ground. And it's important that it's like really in touch with soil, so that worms, for example, can go in there, and all the microbes and all the little things that just decompose basically the leaves have the chance to get in here. And what happens after, depending on what leaves of course you have, after a year and a half, 2 years, you can just open the bag again, and I guarantee you're going to have really beautiful, lovely leaf compost. One little hint of advice, because I did this like 3-4 years ago I think, and what I done is like I just put it at the end of the slope, and there were a lot of stingy nettles. So what happened is the sneaky little stingy nettles found a way to poke in here through the holes. So inside this entire leaf compost that I was making, I suddenly had stingy nettles growing as well, and that made that compost not sterile in the slightest, and I wasn't really using it because it was such a frickly job of trying to get all the roots and all the stingy nettles out of it. But I'm afraid that's it for today's video. I hope you had fun with that. I hope it was interesting for you, and maybe I could even encourage you on trying it yourself, because I really love making leaf compost. It is a genius thing to do. It's fun, it's easy, and you can really use it. It's one of those things that your garden will really benefit from. The weather's having quite a dip, as you might see. It's a little shaky today. So I just really want to say thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope to see you very soon in my garden again. Till then, take care. Bye. Well, the rain is picking up.